Little housekeeping before we do get started. Only our panelists are displayed and heard, but we do want to hear from you. So if you have a question for our speaker, please use the Q&A button on your Zoom panel. Please do not use the chat. We won't see if it's in the chat. So use the Q&A button, and we'll have a Q&A session towards the end of the presentation. You're going to see a demo today of our software after the presentation. If you'd like your own personalized demo of Intellect's QMS software, you can simply type in the word demo into the Q&A button on your Zoom panel or visit us at intellect.com. And we will share both a recording of the presentation and the slide deck as soon as possible after today's presentation. My name is Raquel Cloyd. I manage customer success operations and partnerships here at Intellect. I'd like to tell you a little bit about us. Intellect is an award-winning quality management and environmental health and safety software solution built on a no-code platform and powered with a robust AI integration. We help life sciences companies to automate their quality processes, prepare for audits, improve their operations, and achieve their quality and compliance goals. Those goals include achieving and maintaining compliance with FDA, ISO, EPA, OSHA, GXP regulations, and more. Whether you're in med device, biotech, pharma, or any other industry, you can rely on Intellect to improve efficiency, achieve your quality and compliance goals, and increase revenue. Before we get started, I'd like to ask a question of our audience today, get to know a little bit more about you. A poll will pop up, and there are two questions to the poll. You might have to scroll down. The first question is, how does your company currently track quality processes, such as your CAPAs, preparing for audits, your employee training records? We'd like to know what you're currently using to manage those quality processes. And the second question is, what is your biggest challenge currently around your quality management system? So if you wouldn't mind taking a moment to answer both of those questions, it would help us get to know you a little bit better and help us prepare for future webinars. We'll give everyone a couple of minutes to answer those questions. We'd love it if we could get close to 100% participation if possible. And we'll go ahead and we will share the results after we get some answers. So it looks like we've got about half of you answered the first question and the second. All right, we'll give it a few more seconds. All right, perfect. We're going to go ahead and share the results. It looks like we've got a lot of people here using EQMS. That's wonderful. Hopefully, many of you are using Intellect. Also, around maybe half or so are using manual methods, spreadsheets and paper, and then others using an ERP or MES to manage those records. And biggest challenges around your current quality system. Looks like about half of you are having inconsistent or missing documentation. Another, not quite half, it's because there's manual data entry, reporting takes too much time. Some with compliance issues, access to real-time quality data, and about 17%, everything's going great. Wonderful. Well, thank you everyone for participating in our poll. On to our presentation. I'd like to introduce our speaker today, Intellect's own Senior Director of Product Marketing and Compliance, Tejas Puranik. Tejas has been with Intellect for over 7 years. He is our in-house life sciences expert and knows a lot about both FDA and ISO compliance, and is our leader in our company maintaining ISO certifications here at Intellect. Tejas, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Raquel. Yes, no, this is great. I've been working with Intellect for 7 years, but I came from medical devices. So I work for class 2 and class 3 medical devices companies. So a really good understanding of life sciences and what challenges these companies in the industry really face. So what we're going to be looking at today, I think in the next 25 minutes, is what are those 5 signs that will tell you like, hey, you need to revamp your quality management system. Either it's pen or paper-based system, it's an electronic, it's a third-party tool, whatever it is. Like, what are those signs that you need to revamp your system? I've built like a fictional use case here, can't really name companies and customers. So, a fictional use case, and then we'll walk you through, like, if that particular company is facing some challenges, how a QMS, and advanced QMS, intelligent QMS, smart QMS will solve some problem for them. And then we'll also take a look at our product itself. Won't be taking a deep dive because of the limited time, of course. But as Raquel mentioned, right, if you are really looking for, a QMS software, feel free to reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to, give like a full-blown demo to you. And then finally, the last 5 minutes will be Q&A. So if you have any questions, please bring it up, and then we can, go ahead and answer your questions. So without further ado, so the first thing, right, the 5 signs. What are those 5 signs? The first sign is the growth and the scalability challenges. Now, let's say your company just secured a major contract, right? But your QMS is kind of dated, it's old, and it's not able to scale up with your operations. Meaning you probably have to hire more people and hire more systems, but not really improving the existing system. If you're feeling that you're stuck, then that's one of your signs. Other example would be, let's say your company is now expanding globally and your existing system is not scalable, meaning it can't really, meet the requirements. It can't really meet the challenges or solve the challenges of your, other locations globally. Then that's another sign, right? Keeping up with the stricter standards. That's the next one. So life sciences companies gets audited all the time. In North America, we of course get audited with FDA, especially in the US. Globally, there are other regulations, EU regulations, Japanese regulations, ISO audits. So let's say you're a company, you went through a regulatory audit recently, and you had multiple systems where you had to pull from, let's say, 5 different systems, the documents, the records, the objective evidence, and then you found out some were missing. You would feel like you're, finding it harder to be in compliance with the standard. Then that's one of your signs. Like, hey, you need to have a revamped, you need to have an intelligent or smart QMS system. Another one is inefficiency or poor user adoption. What we have found out when we work with companies out there in the life sciences, like quality teams should be focusing on the systems, meaning the quality management system. But what happens is, in the real world, people find it difficult to use. People find it like it's so many clicks around there, and then they start deviating from the system and they start tracking their records, approvals, pretty much everything that in an Excel file or in a Word document on a SharePoint. And then that what happens is, like, it's a cascading effect. It slows down your operation. If that's happening to you, that's another sign you need an intelligent or a smart QMS system. Some other systems out there also require, companies also require, good data insights. What that means is, let's say you're a company, and life sciences work with a lot of suppliers, right, in the world out there. You're sourcing suppliers, you're sourcing materials from your suppliers globally, and then you found out like you have a defective material or defective products coming into your premises, but you only found out during the production, meaning you didn't have like good processes set up, established. You don't have good reporting set up, like your first article inspections, your incoming inspections. So if you see those challenges, then that's another sign. Like, you have to have a good reporting, good quality management system with reporting capabilities. And finally, limited integrations. What that means is, QMS system kind of revolves around everything, like your ERPs, your PLMs, your SPCs, your WMS, if you have like, different warehouses. Now, what happens is, and goes back to the point 3, is inefficiency. Your users, your employees will probably have to manually input data between systems. Creates a lot of overhead, create cost money for the company, impacts the business. So you need to have a system which can be integrated across the board, with open APIs, with some web services, with of course with the technology. So if you find yourself like manually uploading data into 5 different systems, 7 different systems, that's another sign like you need an intelligent QMS. So, like I said, right, I'm going to actually use a fictional company here called as Revogen. Absolutely, there's no company called Revogen here. I can't name our customers on the webinar here. But let's say this Revogen Life Sciences is, this company is actually delivering life-saving treatments out there in the world. but they have internal challenges which are kind of slowing down their operations. One of the challenges compliance hurdles, right? They expanded globally, but they are finding it difficult to maintain compliance. They have slow approvals because their existing system is too clunky, it's too rigid. Um, to my last point from the last slide, disconnected systems. Yes, it's a big life sciences company. They have multiple systems in-house, but they are not connected together. So their operators, their quality team have to input data manually into different systems. And then inefficient workflows. What that means is there's no standardization across processes on your multiple locations. So all of these challenges are kind of holding Revogen back in further growth. So what we'll do is, the next thing is let's take a look at the product and how Revogen, if Revogen has to use a QMS system, how would they solve these challenges? So compliance hurdles, right? That's the first one. So I have already logged into Intellect. There's going to be a login screen where you can, use your username and password. Once you log in, and depending on your access controls, you will see all the applications that you have purchased. This is, kind of my site where I have access to all the applications. So what happens over here is once you log in, you will see these apps. You can navigate from one app to another. Now I'm going to use CAP as an example here, right? Compliance hurdles, life sciences. What are we looking at? We are looking at ISO 9001, 1345, 21 CFR Part 820, 21 CFR Part 11, of course, right? Electronic signatures. So what that means is you got to maintain a process. You got to have an established process which is much more standardized, which will allow you to be maintain the compliance across the board. Now, as you see here on my screen, here's the workflow that Intellect has created out of the box. Now, what happens over here is you as a user in the company is actually going through this structured process. And the way we created this structured process is, of course, looking at the standards and regulations, where the standards are asking you to take, immediate actions or corrections on those CAPA events. Define your team, take those corrective actions on those issues or quality events, and then finally measure if those corrective actions are effective or not. I think that's a core requirement from 13485. Like you have to measure your corrective actions. So that's why we have this an activity which will hold your users, which will hold your quality team accountable on measuring if those corrective actions are effective or not. So as you see here, this again workflow is kind of designed to structure and to help companies out there meet compliance requirements, regulation requirements. The other one was inefficiency. So I'll quickly jump onto Intellect AI. Let's go into one other application real quick, and then if I pull up any document, or we have Intellect AI, which will help you build efficiencies across the board. So I'm going to pick on let's say this FIRES implementation SOP. If I click on this small AI button, as you see here, what this technology does, it actually helps your users interact with that particular document without reading the document itself. So let's say this document was like 50 pages long or 75 pages long. And now you as the user have been tasked to create, let's say, a quiz. What Intellect AI does is and we have given quick questions here, but of course you can ask any other question. This is just an example. Hey, go ahead and read this document for me, and then go ahead and create those 5 questions, multiple choice questions for me. And then you can simply copy paste this into your employee training app as a quiz question for your trainees. You can also ask Intellect AI to translate this into, let's say, Spanish, right? Why not? So what happens is it keeps track of your previous question. We don't save the data. So I will be very crystal clear here. Intellect does not use customers' data to train the AI models. We are business partners with ChatGPT. So your data is your data. We don't use it for training the models. So as you can see here, it kind of keeps track of the previous question and then starts giving you, more information on it. I can also say, hey, give me 5 more. And I can, pretty much ask any other questions as I want explicitly on that particular document. So if you are the user who needs to read the document, but really don't have time and, find like a smarter way of doing things, then of course, you can leverage AI. The way I always, put it out there is use AI as a reference and not as a solution. So you as a user always have to read through the content, what AI is generating, and then use it to your own business operations. So I'll highly recommend that. So that's one thing. We also have AI on the tables itself. So if you see, I clicked a small button on the table where you might have like big, large data sets in your company. And now you as a quality engineer is tasked to come up with some reports for the management. And you may say like, hey, I want to go ahead and create like a quick dashboard for my Gemba meeting that's coming up. So you can ask AI like, you know what, go through all my documents, go through all my suppliers or kappas and create like a quick dashboard for me. And what again Intellect AI does, it actually reads the content of that particular table and then starts creating a dashboard with multiple reports on it. So it could be your bar charts, pie charts, histograms, Pareto charts, which are very common, to solve problems, right? So as you can see here, what I'm trying to do is, or as a user, what I will find out is it's much more efficient. It will help me kind of build those dashboards instead of me exporting that data out in an Excel or some other systems and then manually creating, some reports on it. So I'll give it another quick 5-10 seconds here because it's going through, all my data from this particular main document table. And of course, we can also control the access, right? So in your company, let's say you have some policies that not all users can use AI, then you can define like which users can see that AI button on a table, on a file, up at the top there. We can, go like one level down on every single object in Intellect. So as you see here, it kind of created a quick report. I can ask to give more reports, like by document status, by types. You can just keep on asking more questions. Now, let's talk about the slow approvals, right? So that was one other challenge that Revogen was facing. Now, again, same logic, right? We have a workflow for every single app in Intellect. So I'll quickly open up one of the existing documents, which has gone through a process of a controlled version. And this is how it looks like out of the box. Again, you can make any changes. What happens over here is you as a company is enforcing a standard, a structured process in your company. And this particular process is again designed by keeping standards and regulations in mind, industry best practices in mind, and then you can have your users go through this particular workflow. Right now, my instance, which is document two, of course, you can have your own document naming conventions, not a problem. Is showing my work was completed, meaning my document is considered a controlled copy. But then what you see here is it's kind of like a series of steps that has to be taken to make it as a controlled copy. So when it comes to the approvals itself, it's right over here. And this slow approvals, meaning what happens, the challenge of slow approvals and the way we fix it or the way we address it is we actually have multiple approvals or tiers of approvals created as a functionality on the platform. So as a document owner, you can send it out to like one person, 5 people, 500 people, and everyone will get an email and then they all can have their own activities in Interact. So you're not really chasing down, people in the company, having those handwritten signatures or sending out into another system and chasing down those people. Interact will do all this for you. It will also keep on reminding those approvers if they are not completing their approvals on time. We will send out all those old emails and everything to the approver itself. So that's how we solve the challenge by having a standard and structured process as part of the workflow. Now, if you think like some of these activities are not what your company uses, you can totally disconnect these arrows and then take that particular activity out. And that goes back to my first sign from a couple of slides I presented is the scalability. The system, the software will scale with you. If you change the process, software can meet that new process. You can completely change these workflows at any given time. And then lastly, let's talk about some reporting elements, right? So Intellect has also created something called as Data IQ. Now treat this as kind of your BI tool, business intelligence tool. What happens is it's actually pulling up the real-time reports for you and throwing that onto your Data IQ dashboard. So if, for example, in the change management app, there's 5 in progress, somebody completes the change record today or that ECO today, this particular report will be automatically updated for you. You don't have to do anything as a user. It's all real time. If you want to take one step further, if you want to take this data set out push that into your Power BI, Tableau, or any other BI tool, you can do so. That's not a problem. What's happening here in Intellect is it's actually reading through all the records in the system and then coming up with those analytics for you so that you can make those informed decisions based on the data that you're seeing. Working with customers here at Intellect, our customers are really like this functionality because what happens is they have created all this dashboard like a monthly report, a quarterly report for executives, a weekly report for bugs, and all they have to look at is like on a frequent basis, just look at the reports and make those decisions. So you don't have to kind of always create those reports or take that data set out and put that into an Excel and then create those reports outside of Intellect. Everything can be handled in Intellect. And it's super easy, right? You as a general user can create these reports, can create your own dashboards, keep it to yourself. You can share it with other users in the system or other user groups or departments in the company. Not a problem. Or if you are only limiting it to system admins or executives or designers, then you can leverage the access controls functionality as well. And since I mentioned, you can push this data out into any of your BI tool, the way we handle it is we handle it through API keys. So I'm just going through my user profile real quick here. As you see here, we have an API key. So here's my API key. I can copy this key, put that into my Power BI or Tableau, and then what happens is on a daily basis, you can change the frequency. Right now we do it once a day, but you can have like 5 times a day, 10 times a day. We push that data set out into your BI tool. So all of your data is now going into the BI tool, and then you also have those real-time reports in your BI tool if you're already using one. If you're not using one, then of course you can use data IQ. Not a problem. So as you saw here, I kind of quickly showed you how we have created standardized processes by keeping standards and regulations in mind, the industry best practices. We looked at document control. We looked at Kappa real quick. Every single app you see here has a workflow behind the scene, and all these workflows are a standard process. Industry best practices also been looked at, and then that's how we created these workflows. And then we also looked at some reporting elements here. We looked at the approvals. These approvals are in compliance with 21 CFR Part 11. What that means is we have electronic signatures that your users have to put in their electronic signature, which will track who approved, when it was approved, what was the decision of the approval, was it reject or really approved? So we track everything to be in compliance with Part 11. That's pretty much it. Again, this was a very high level, quick, brief overview of those 5 signs that you should be looking at and how you address those challenges using an intelligent or a smart system.
Thank you very much, Tejas. And
Absolutely.
now, thank you. Now would be a good time if you have any questions for Tejas about his presentation, about Intellect's capabilities, to put your questions into the Q&A portion of the Zoom panel. We got a bit of a peek today into our software. If you'd like your own customized demo, we can take a little more time and show you all these applications and features in more detail. Simply visit us at intellect.com or type in the word demo into the Q&A button on the Zoom panel, and we'll reach out to you as soon as possible after today's webinar and get you scheduled. All right, we've got a few questions already primed to go. Tejas, first question. Does Intellect provide procedures to review the reason for reasons generic to the life sciences industry? So that might be in reference to maybe root cause analyses or
Correct. No, and that's a great question. So what we provide is we provide not the procedures, but we provide the frameworks, right? So what happens is when you are actually going through your quality events for non-conformances, CAPAs, we have a structured approach of root cause analysis, risk analysis, escalation analysis. So you will see all those as kind of your procedures, if you will. You can, of course, make changes. You can, tweak those particular functionalities, and that will help you, like in life sciences. Hey, I've seen this in, the last 90 days. I've seen like 7 events, with similar particular issue. Then, you can start building out your reports on it.
All right. Next question. Is there a training module it says DMS, but we are a full QMS. So do we have a training module?
Yes, we do have an employee training app. So, I know there's so many acronyms out there, but I'm pretty sure you're referring to document management system. So is there a training module in this DMS? Yes, we do. It's actually interconnected. So all of the apps that you saw on my screen, they actually talk to each other. So when you create a control document in the document control app, it actually automatically creates a training course, and then you can schedule the training course, like 5 times a week or 5 times a month or 5 times a year. And then your employees will get trained on it. So yes, there's a training module as part of our solution.
Great. Next question. What regulations affect the device history file?
DHS, yes, DHS, DMRs, all of that is actually really looking at into 820. So 21 CFR Part 820, that's what we looked at when really talking about the life sciences for med device, for pharma, for biotech. We also looked at 210, 211, going a little bit beyond the DHF, we also looked at for the batch records. So we looked at multiple regulations. We look at multiple standards. If there are any specific standard that will allow you to establish the process. But 820, 210, 211 is what we looked at. 21
All right.
CFRs. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tejas. What are some of the main efficiency gains that most customers see from using Intellect?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things that what I have seen with our customers is, time savings, especially, right? When you're using a manual systems and you're chasing people down for approvals or for getting, things done, uh, systems out there, like software systems out there can do all of that, right? It's automated, it's digitized. So sending out reminders, notifying them, holding them accountable, creating reports. So that's one efficiency gain what we have seen with our customers. Another is, a very specific example is one of our actually pharma customers. They saw so much time investment in actually preparing for audits, creating audit plan, drafting up an agenda, creating the audit report, creating the checklist of questions for an auditing. With our app, it's all automated. So once you draft a plan, once you draft an agenda, Intellect will also suggest you what kind of checklist questions you should be adding. Then it will also create a full automated report for you, not just for you, but your executives as well. So there are some efficiency gains across different applications. I just give an example of an audit management app, but then of course, when you're working with suppliers, when you're working on a Kappa app, when you're working with your ECOs, when you're working on your batch records, there's going to be different efficiency gains.
All right, wonderful. Well, that is all the questions we have today. We appreciate everyone for attending. If you have further questions about Intellect, again, visit us at intellect.com, schedule a demo with us, and we can show you in greater detail how we can help your company achieve your quality and compliance goals. Thank you, Tejas.
Thank you.